What's going on, y'all? It's J Smoke Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Hope everybody's week has been going fantastic. But we have a ton of battle rap to talk about here. It is going to be a jam-packed weekend this weekend coming up with, I think, 4 events overall. Westworld's doing an event that I'm not going to talk about here. Wasn't too familiar with all the talent on the card, but I'm going to be doing predictions for 3 different cards here. Some I've talked about before. Some I'm going to talk about a little bit quicker than others. You know, I like to keep the videos timely, but we are going to talk about all 3 cards. I don't even know if they're all going to be in the title. And we also have to talk about another announcement that came out today. The second announcement for SM15, Tay-Rock versus Fonz, which is a battle I love. I think SM is a clear 2 for 2 on announcements so far. And it is funny the difference between when I saw John and Fonz get announced and what I thought was like just a weird reception for it, especially how people were trying to talk about Fonz. And now, not even that long later, Tay-Rock and Fonz, completely different. I see so much more excitement, so much more enthusiasm. It's funny because they're saying, like, this is the biggest battle of Fonz. It actually is the biggest battle of Fonz's career now. But, like, the John was too. Everyone acted like it was nothing. And then he got, like, a very dominant W. But I'm going to talk all about my emotions towards it towards the end of the video. I want to get through these predictions first. And the first card we're going to talk about is the Trenches card, Nasty Algae 2. You guys will get that reference if you've seen my original predictions video for this. When I first did that, there was 6 battles. There's now 5 battles. Muop and Authentic not going down. There's been a lot of back and forth. Muop saying he's ducking. I think they both just did 3 Letterman interviews in like the last couple of hours. And Authentic's reason that he seems to be giving across the board is like he wasn't motivated and had nothing that he wanted to write, and he didn't want to give a bad performance. That's terrible. That's dog shit. That's absolutely ducking if that's the reason. But also, real quick, because I'm going to be quick about these predictions, but with this particular situation, I've seen a lot of people like URL put in the call, like they made the call, and you know, Authentic came in through a URL clash, right? So that's like, but Authentic, like they block assets, like that's something that whenever URL usually is like going out there outside of the first Trenches card, obviously that was a sabotage project, so people were just, you've already set bad faith, so I understand a little bit of it, but they pull assets, top tier battle rappers, bigger battles, right? That's what they would get involved with. They don't book Authentic. I don't think that they have not booked Authentic very often before this. I don't believe they will be booking Authentic very often after this. If he pops up with some opportunity on a URL card, you know, I'll shut the fuck up. But I think this is where, like, the tinfoil hat conspiracy gets a little over the top. URL does not give a fuck about, like, Authentic versus Muop. But with that being said, I was going to have Muop winning that battle anyways. I thought it would be one of the better battles of the card. But Lee LND versus BMB to Don. Don't know either of them. Reed Dollars versus Cortez. I already had Cortez winning. You just saw the performance that Reed gave versus Sharon. He started well, but he just doesn't get through rounds, 3-round battles clean. It's his last 6 battles, maybe even 7 3-round, like, real battles. He's choked in, man. So I love Reed, one of my top 5 favorite battle rappers ever. Cortez should put a whooping on him, especially a Cortez that's been having a good year. I have Rosenberg Raw beating Un-P. I think Un-P will fight more than people may have thought, but you know, the reason Un-P probably has confidence going into this card is the first Nasty Algae card. He whooped on Reed. He's one of those battles that Reed choked in out of his last 6 or 7. So Rosenberg Raw is a much more competitive battle rapper in the year 2025 than Reed Dollars, but I think the battle will sound good, like the rapping ability. So I got Cortez, I got Rosenberg, I got Bill Collector over Snake Eyes. Might be battle of the night, might be the most competitive. So far, when they both performed on the Trenches, Snake Eyes and Tex, Bill Collector and Bad News, 2 of their better performances ever-ish, you know what I'm saying? But at least in like quite some time, they both really showed up for that environment. You have the New York versus Philly theme as well, which both of them I'm sure will get, even though Bill's not technically from Philly, but we know how this goes with Bill. But I think Bill at his peak is just a better rapper. Top tiers often show up for Bad News in some of their Bad News is someone that used to do that for, but they show up for Snake Eyes in like their peak form. It's someone like Bad News, someone like Steams. Top tiers just do not like losing the guys like that. And Snake Eyes is one of them. So I got Bill 2-1 over Snake Eyes. And then I have Eazy the Block Captain. Should really win all 3 rounds versus Head Ice. It should be a 30, but at the very, very, very least, I believe this one's going to be 2-1 clear. I'm not a fan of the matchup. Time is ticked down to the event. It is not something where I've gotten more excited. There really has not been any promo for it. Granted, everyone's been talking about straight bullshit in battle rap for the last like 7 to 10 days or so. Can't even get recaps for K Shine's return, but we're talking about never mind. But with all that being said, I think Eazy is going to have the best performance on this card. Taking a matchup like this, I honestly feel like he better have one of the most dominant performances on the card. But with that being said, got Eazy, got Bill, got Rosenberg, got Cortez, and we'll see what's going on with the new guys when we get there. So second card to talk about here, also going down August 10th, I believe not just the same day, but the same time as the Trenches card. But this one's going to be more focused on underrated or unknown talent, and especially an emphasis on newer talent, which is why there's really 2 or 3 battles here we're going to talk about, especially based around that newer talent. It's not going to be full card predictions here, but have to show some love to my guy Doc with his Just Business card. And out of all the streams this weekend, I don't know if Westworld's going to be free. Like, I didn't look too far into that, but this one is going to be free. It's streaming for free on Twitch, so if you're not going to be able to pay for the other events this weekend, the one we're going to talk about in a second, or the Trenches card, which I think will get the most motion this weekend, if you don't want to watch that or you're going to watch that later, you can watch this 100% for free on Twitch. But as you can see, there's some names on here: Jackboy, KD, Foots, Prez Mafia. If you like any of those matchups, you want to tune in or see maybe a newer talent you haven't seen versus one of them, go for it. But the top battles that we're going to talk about right here: Yunus versus Los Premee, which is the main event; Justice versus Wusa. And what's not pictured here, but there is a side like flyer they made for it, is Ace Amin versus Tex, which was a late edition. I think the style matchup there is really good. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be some jail talk in there, especially some drug talk, real talk. But the way they both rap, like their actual rapping ability, also really good. That one I'm a little bit worried about out of those top 3, just because I don't know what their form has been like. Ace Amin battled Hansel on the reschedule. He was really good in part of that battle, like really good. But he stumbled through the second and the third. Hansel was great and ended up winning it clear. And then Tex leaves the Trenches after that great Snake Eyes battle. But then the battle he has with Ishmula, he kind of gets cooked. I don't even know why he took that plate on that. Like, that's the first battle you kind of have. Get kind of set up, guys rapping way longer than you, but just a bad look. That's not the look you needed leaving the Trenches after that controversy. So I'm not really sure who will win Ace and Tex. Part of me wants to give it on Ace for experience, but at least Tex is clean every battle. So that one's a little bit up in the air. I'll go Ace 2-1, but it's a matchup that if it lives up to what it can be, it could be the best battle on the card. Justice versus Wusa. In terms of, Rookie of the Year is always such a hard convo in battle rap, because as someone that's part of the Cody panel and people ask us, like, what's the criteria? What do you consider Rookie of the Year? You either get it or you don't, man. Like, there's people that come up and that's their breakout. Okay, this is really the first time we've all heard of them, and now they're making it to it. This isn't the NBA. There's not year one and it's, like, perfectly organized from there. But in my opinion, for Rookie of the Year in 2025, Justice would be my front runner. He's a battler that went from not on my radar at all to like beating some competent names. Beat Hansel in a judge battle. I had him beating Luke Castro. Both home games, very safe environments for him, but he really rapped that good. Like, he won those battles genuinely. So you have him versus Wusa, who out of all this crop of newer talent from the last couple years, Wusa is turning into one of the bigger success stories. I think everyone acknowledges Yunus, especially after that Gnome battle, has to be the number one face of it. It's been talked about like that. I think King isn't that far behind him because everyone sees the same type of talent he has. And then I think Wusa might be third in that fold, either him or Hansel. And I love what Wusa's done this year, even when he wasn't clean versus Twerk. He really competed in that battle for the most part. Choking a battle away like that is still garbage. You don't do that. But the Av battle's great. He beat Jackboy. He beat Clone back when that was like a fashionable thing to do. So I think Justice and Wusa can have a good little battle, man. I'm going to go Wusa 2-1, edging towards that experience, but there's some stakes there. And then Yunus versus Los Premee, best battle on the card. Going to be a straight punch fest. I think that this could be very similar to what King versus Los Premee was. And even though I battle versus Trenches, I think the theme added to it. Not that people knew a bunch of those names, but that did a really good job showing what the newer talent can do as well. And Los Premee and King did have battle of the night there. Now, I think this is going to be really good. I expect Los Premee to be really good. He's having a good year. Yunus is obviously having a great year even with limited battles, so I know he's going to be really good. But the reason for me that I'm going to go Yunus 2-1 is because of the same things I saw in that King versus Los Premee battle. And Los Premee has extended his game a little bit. He can get into some more direct rap, whether that's like soulful stuff about his life and experience, being a little bit more tailored to the opponent, even if it's not for the longest stretches of time. But Yunus can do that too, and has just shown he can do it at a higher level in different environments versus higher level talents. I just think he has more reps in important situations where now when he's battling a Los Premee, they share the same strengths for sure. Like their biggest strengths, punching and what they can do with the pen. But when you get to those other aspects, the performance a little bit, I even think the ability to rebuttal, even though both can do it, I trust Yunus a little bit more with it. I trust Yunus a little bit more to angle, to switch it up at certain times. I just think he's a better all-around talent right now. So I'm going Yunus 2-1 over Los Premee. But that, in my opinion, will be the best battle on the card. So spent a little time talking about those three battles. But I'm going to be tuning in for those, but rest of this card, there could be some standout performances. Free cards for the public like this, streaming wise, are made for you to snatch some attention. You're not going to become a star overnight, but you got to stick out on cards like this to get somewhere and level up in battle rap. And then the last card I have to do predictions for here is not only the best card here on paper for the weekend, but probably the least talked about as well. And this is Final Destination. This is the end of the Road to Geechee kind of tournament that I know this league has been throwing, where they throw some name-worthy battles. I think Swamp and Marv happened on one of these cards. I think A-Ward battled someone else maybe. But there's been a tournament with some like rather unknown talent, right, to get a Geechee Gotti battle. So you see here for the headliner, big letters, Geechee Gotti versus, I don't know if it's pronounced Fate or Fat X, because that's like clearly how it's spelled, but that's the guy who's like went through the tournament. Now he's gotten a Geechee Gotti battle. So you're thinking, okay, I mean, that's cool, but that's not like selling out a card or anything. Dog, this undercard is fucking stacked. And we'll go through it. First battle, T-Top versus Pain. Pain is someone's putting together a sneaky good year on the low. He had a Cortez battle earlier in the year on Scoops League, Street Talk Entertainment. That was a pretty good battle on Mean 3. Then he just beat Shotgun Suge on the Now or Never card. It wasn't the craziest performance. It didn't have to be. Suge was shit. But he's got a debatable and a good battle with Cortez. He's beat Shotgun Suge, and he's going to face T-Top, and it would not shock me if this T-Top battle looks just like that Suge battle, because T-Top did great versus Hustle. And then outside of that, he really didn't give a fuck and he lost to Kid Chaos. He definitely didn't give a fuck and he lost to J2. And he most certainly didn't give a fuck when he lost to Fonz. So anything that's not that known battle, T-Top has been not really coming with 3 serious rounds. Pain is the exact opposite. So I could see Pain winning versus a lackluster T-Top, but I hope Pain is good enough to kind of snatch the moment and make it matter, even if the footage doesn't end up being crazy on both sides. Because to have T-Top, Suge, and Cortez at 1 year, that's underrated if I've heard of underrated, especially when Pain went kind of quiet after that Ill Will battle. I know he's been battling, but I feel like I haven't seen him in bigger situations. This would be another battle to make his 2025 mean something. New Jersey Twerk versus Mac Myron. I got Twerk winning that matchup. You know, should be a decent puncher matchup. But listen, I've been saying all the time, Twerk has had his no-show issues or not getting to battle issues this year, right? But when he does rap, he's been winning, in my opinion. He's been rapping pretty good. He raps better than Mac Myron. So I got New Jersey Twerk 2-1 or 3-0 clear. Av versus Chilla Jones. I like this one a lot. A little bit worried, especially there's been some noise with like Av's current health. I guess he's dealing with stuff outside of battle rap, which he's been known to in the past. Hope all is good by him. I know he's battled through some serious shit, and if this is anything even close to that, just hope he's doing good. That life and health comes before anything we're dealing with in battle rap. But if it does go down, it's a battle that I like of 2 elite level writers. Feels like it would have been better some odd years ago. I'm not mad at it here. I do worry a little bit because the thing that I think both of them struggle with like wider audiences and battle rap, is as elite as both of them have been, beaten top tiers, really all-time winning streaks at times, like look the best versus the best, all that, they can be a bit boring to some people, right? I think it's like maybe it's the pace of it. They can be a little bit monotone at times. I don't know I can't say they haven't connected because they're both legends and like top 30 battle rappers of all time. But at times they have gotten that critique. And I worry about both of them battling each other, if that can bring out like a rougher side of that, where the energy of the battle is just more on like that calmer side. I'm sure that if they do end up rapping, it's going to be some of the best written shit on the card. I still like the matchup of Av versus Chilla Jones, but when we talk about maybe the battle not even going down, and if it does, is Av going to be, have like lethargic? What is he dealing with? Chilla Jones is like, he's still putting up pretty good performances. The Verb battle obviously was pretty decent. But I don't think he's like in top Chilla Jones form either. I think he's removed from his prime. So I would have Av 2-1 just because of the winning streak he has been on for the last few years. But, that one could be a toss-up because Chilla Jones at his best is capable of beating an Av. A-Ward versus JC is the best battle on this card. I like this battle a lot. I feel like I've wanted it booked on so many different cards for so many different leagues before. So I get worried. I've ranted a lot about like newer leagues popping up and just taking good matchups. Please treat A-Ward versus JC with care, because this could be on a big card and matter. Don't just take it and fuck it up, please God. But I think this will be the battle of the night. I've had JC on the losing side of a couple battles this year, which his fans have reminded me in the comments, which, I know how JC fans can be. It's not fair. If it was someone else, it's just not fair. I get it. I know how it is on here. But I still think JC has rapped really good for the most part for the last year and a half. I mean, I was part of the panel that put him up there in like the top 15 for Cody, so I'm recognizing the work. But A-Ward has been on a mission as well. And I do think JC rapped good versus Nick G. I think he rapped pretty good versus Madflex. I think he was decent versus Averb. I got him on the losing side of those battles, and I think A-Ward might be the most dangerous opponent out of all of those to take. You know what I'm saying? I'd say that A-Ward is a tougher match than an Averb in 2025. Madflex I respect a lot, but I'd still rank Ward a little bit above him. So I'm going to go A-Ward 2-1 versus JC. I think he has that more all-around style that versus a pen like JC, the performance and the rebuttals and everything A-Ward can do, I just think will cover more ground. Totally possible that JC wins this battle. I have A-Ward 2-1 and really by an edge. I don't just have him clearing JC, because JC is one of the best pens of all time, and we just ranked him as a top 20 battle rapper last year. So obviously, I still have a ton of respect for JC. I just think he tends to get the best versions of his opponents, being the name that he is, and people, the danger that they feel when they go against him. And I think A-Ward takes everybody serious. So when he has to take someone double as serious, especially a matchup like this that feels like it could have been booked a couple times before, I'm expecting A-Ward to be in his bag. So I got A-Ward beating JC. I have Tay-Rock beating Quest McCody. I think that should be decent too. I keep saying it with Quest. He keeps battling top names. He's very respectable. I just don't have him winning. Felt that way about Av, about Nitty, about Danny Myers. I think Tay-Rock could be similar, as tough of a challenge and tougher than some of the people that I just named for sure. Reigning champion of the year. I just think Rock will beat Quest 2-1 in a solid battle. It's not a hot take. That's just how I feel about it. Two more battles real quick. I have Coffee Brown versus Eon. I know Eon is one of the newer ladies making some noise. She's been active this year. I have Coffee 3-0. Coffee kind of does whatever she wants versus these newer talents. Like, obviously we know what Coffee's doing at a high level versus like top tier men and top tier women, but especially when she battles like up and coming women, it is belt to ass. Bailey Lee, belt to ass. Jade, belt to ass. Even with Eon having good momentum, it's more about what I think about Coffee Brown and the lesson she could teach her than anything I feel like negatively about Eon. And then Rum Nitty versus Ines. This is a fun one. I feel like Ines battles, like, winning and losing becomes a little less important because of just this straight entertainment factor that Ness brings to the table. But Ines versus Tay-Rock earlier this year on T-Top's first card was great. It was by far battle of the night. On a really bad event, they got all the energy going in the building, and Ines had a debatable with Tay-Rock. Like, Ines really, met him up there quality-wise. I personally still had Rock 2-1 edge, and I'm also going to go with Nitty 2-1 here versus Ines. But if Nitty and Ines can be anything, as fun and really as good as Tay-Rock versus Ines is, we should be in for a great card where we could potentially be in a world where Rock versus Quest, Nitty versus Ness, Ward JC, Av versus Chilla are all good, and they're still top-tier names that could pop out and give a dominant performance, or there could be an upset and shit to talk about. So I know this card hasn't gotten a ton of coverage, a ton of build-up, but I'm telling you, Final Destination, probably going to be the best event that we have this weekend. That is it on the prediction front, and like I said, just want to talk a little bit more about Tay-Rock versus Fonz. I love the battle. I think it's a fantastic battle. It's going to be a haymaker fest, and I feel like it's the natural progression after what was at Nome the biggest battle of Fonz's career career up to that point, a grudge versus John John on the New York big stage. It doesn't end up being even the good fight I thought it would be, or like Fonz winning 2-1 against a good John John. He just beat the shit out of John John and got better as the battle went on. I think it started a little weak, but from Fonz's second, and especially to his third, completely took control of it and made a highlight out of a legend. Really on the road, you know what I'm saying? Like John John being a half ATL New Yorker. I know John John claims a few different places, but that was a great performance. You could only go up from there. So when SM rolls around, Tay-Rock's been saying his name, and I think Fonz has the capability of beating a Tay-Rock. I think if he puts enough of those haymakers together back to back, especially the way that he punches on a topic and like kind of made a mockery of John John, not just with the haymakers, but attacking subjects throughout John John's character and what he's dealing with optically in battle rap right now. There's more than enough material there to angle Tay-Rock, but the problem is Tay-Rock's fucking Tay-Rock, man. And the best of anglers have taken a shot at him, and some of them have won, but I always famously mention the Geechee Gotti first round versus Tay-Rock is one of the best angle rounds ever. That would 30 most people just in the first. Crowd would never listen to the guy for the rest of the battle. Tay-Rock probably won the second and the third round of that battle and had a crazy first. What he does, you really just can't fully neutralize it unless you're like a Murdo Mook in an empty room. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be very specific situations, but especially in front of a crowd. And if anyone remembers, rest in peace to the late, great Pat Stay. When Tay-Rock entered that battle on stage versus Pat Stay in the UK at SM8, that crowd melted at the sight of him. It was like people seeing fucking Michael Jackson. And I know he ends up choking in the third. He did lose that battle, but Rock is fire and getting nothing but love there. And as much as I love Fonz and the firepower he has, it's not as similar to the skill set of a guy who is already a legend like Pat Stay, who's going to angle, diffuse, freestyle. He just went about the game in a different way that really only Pat Stay could. What Fonz does is elite, and it's great, but it's a different type of style matchup entirely. So I'm not going to, full cards when I do my final predictions, but just at first glance, I'm going Tay-Rock 2-1, and just like how I thought up to that point John John was the biggest battle of Fonz's career, this is now easily the biggest battle of Fonz's career. Tay-Rock in London having to adapt to that UK crowd, which should be receptive to him, but it's still battling in another country and having like whatever challenges comes with that. So if Fonz wins, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this battle will be nothing else but fire. But how do I bet against Tay-Rock with the way he's looked? This is the best battle rapper of all time. It's just it's never a bad time to bet with him. So with all that being said, though, that is my full thoughts on the announcements, the predictions. I covered so many different battles. I was probably talking at 100 miles per hour. So of course, I want to hear what you guys think. Out of all these cards I've shown you, or whichever one you want to focus on, what are you looking forward to the most this weekend? Are you tuned in for the trenches to see what happens with Eazy and Ice and this whole Philly versus New York theme? Are you tuned in for the new guys on Doc's card with Just Business, seeing what Yunus and Los Premee, Justice and Wusa have going? Or are you going to be watching Final Destination and seeing like a lot of top tier action all throughout this card? A-Ward versus JC, Tay-Rock versus Quest, any matchup, any card. Please let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling, man. And of course, I'm going to try to find a way to recap as many of these events as I can. I am for sure recapping the Trenches event. I just don't know if the rest of these will get their own recap or I will talk about it with the Trenches recap. So you'll see that starting early next week. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.